Today we are exploring the world of all-road bikes. With bikes rapidly changing and tyres getting wider and people using bikes in different ways to 10 years ago, all-road represents that exciting intersection between road and off-road. But how on earth do you define such a bike? Well, to help us explore the topic of all-road, I'm joined by the founder of Fara Cycling, a Norwegian brand with a small range of bikes, including an all-road bike, which I reviewed about 2 years ago, right here on Just Ride Bikes. A link to our review is down below. In this video, Jeff helps us get a better understanding of where all-road bikes are now and where they might be heading in the future, in terms of bike design, geometry, performance, and tyres getting wider and how this impacts bike choice. So a really interesting conversation. Hopefully you enjoyed. Got any comments or feedback, put them down below in the comment section. But let's dive in and talk all things all-road. So Jeff, thanks for joining me today. As the owner of a bike brand with 3 models, road, all-road and gravel, I thought it'd be fun to talk about all-road as that sort of intersection between road and gravel. Can you define what all-road is in your mind?
So we started the brand almost 10 years ago, and in almost about 5 years ago, we started a project to develop a new model, and it was pretty clear that the time when bikepacking was really starting to emerge, and the bags, thanks to people like Apidura, who really I think people like Apidura really changed the way we ride just by that the products that they evolved and put out. The types of riding we were doing in the city of Oslo, where I lived and still live, is we have this massive forest to the north of the city, and it offers these amazing gravel roads, like even dirt roads you could maybe call them. And but at the same time, there's several access points to this forest, so there's a tendency for people to ride into the forest and then out the other side and then back on the road. So we saw this real interest around a bike that would be good for both purposes, and not necessarily like a heavy gravel bike that was really determined or made for gravel, sort of loose gravel or technical gravel, but more like a fast, almost like a road bike that would handle multi-surfaces, as we call it. And I think that so we started on that project, and at the same time we realized with the bags and the integration of the bags was a thing that was important, and we were doing a lot of bikepacking ourselves, so we had a lot of first-hand experience, and we were able to wrap that up together into a bike that we called the all-road, and we actually, because the Fara, the first name we had for it was the FAR, far, and traveling far, kind of made sense. So we've really embraced the all-road concept for years now, and then it's been our bestseller. It's our flagship model for all these years, and it's really been, I feel like it's the bike that's really put us on the map, whereas the other models have been a little bit more mainstream.
How do you define an all-road bike? Is it tire clearance? Is it geometry? I mean, you mentioned bags, which is all about sort of that touring aspect of taking stuff with you for a long ride or multiple-day ride. So how do you define an all-road bike for you?
I mean, for us, it's literally the definition is in the name. It's all roads. It's a bike that should be able to ride anywhere, and obviously there's limits from what you can design a bike for, but it's one of the things we focus on is versatility, and that a person should be able to buy a bike and use it for many purposes, and not feel like they need a bike for every type of terrain. And so that for me, all road is just about being able to tackle any surface. That's what it comes down to. And I, Norway, I can really only relate to our hometown and our heritage. And in Norway, we have a lot of roads that will start with asphalt and they'll just end into gravel or dirt. And in the old days, we used to just turn around and go back again, sort of thing. But now with the all road, it would, it's freedom this sort of mindset that you are even concerned about the terrain that's underneath you. So I really connect the all road concept to this kind of freedom of choice of terrain and routes.
There's definitely been more appetite for riding off road. Like you say, in the past, you on a road bike, you get to the end of the road, you turn around, but now you keep going. And I guess
Yeah,
there's more an appetite for that adventure, exploring spirit, and also the bikes, the tires, the technology makes it more doable to a road bike with 23mm tire off road. It's very risky, but now you've got big tires, tubeless. You can ride those bikes on the dirt roads in the forest and not worry about a puncture and keep going and exploring and then see where it goes, I guess.
yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you get into a situation where okay, you're probably underbiked. It wasn't the bike that you would have chosen for that actual whatever strip of the route, but generally you'll get through. And as if you sort of sum up the ride as a whole, if it's 100 kilometers and you have different percentages of different types of terrain, the all road is really the bike that is sort of ideal if you average out the whole thing. So and then you have the ability to carry like bags and carry your stuff. That's to me is I think it's an amazing package.
What's the key feature on your all-road bike? Is it tire clearance? And like, what sort of size tire are we talking about for this sort of all-road exploring riding?
Yeah, originally, so when the bike was designed in 2020, we designed it around 38 millimeter tires as a maximum, and it's ideally between 32 and 35. So even today, that's not even considered wide anymore. And then so that's obviously tire clearance is one thing. Comfort, the way the frame and the carbon layups are designed so the frame design itself and as well as the carbon structures will add a lot of comfort to it. And then the geometry is slightly relaxed compared to a road bike, especially a race bike. It's slightly more relaxed, so it's more comfortable also in that sense. But we don't, at least in our philosophy, like we don't want to make boring bikes. So like we want bikes to be fun to ride. And our bike, our all road, and I know we're here to talk about categories and not necessarily specific bike, but our bike would be totally fine on a group ride or any kind of road scenario with the right wheels and tires. So and I use it as a daily driver. I just switch wheels with different tires, and it'll handle all kinds of different terrain.
I was just about to ask you actually, do your customers swap wheels and tires on the all-road bike, or they running the same sort of tire, or do they have like a narrow setup for the club run and a wide tire for sort of your daily weekend exploring?
I think some do and some don't. There's probably a barrier there for some people. Like just technically, not everybody feels comfortable switching wheels and then having to adjust brakes and potentially gears as well. So I think some do, but probably the minority, I would say. And then the majority would just run like a 35 millimeter tire that's relatively fast on the asphalt and would handle also the dirt like gravel roads. So for sure that like the customer we're talking about on the all road, it's not there's still a big group of people that would have two bikes or more. And the people that want to have that real sharp road feeling and that would have a gravel bike or maybe a mountain bike or whatever. But so this the all road is for the type of customer or rider who wants to just have one bike that will do everything.
And you're really seeing that all-road bike capable of doing everything, like from road to gravel and that sort of in between grey area.
Oh, sorry, there was a question.
Do you think the all-road bike is capable of being one bike to do everything? Like it can do the road, it can do the gravel, like gravel, and do the in-between overlap of those two.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, up to a certain extent, right? Like it's never going to win the Tour de France and it's never going to win Traca either. So, there's some extremes there that where those bikes are definitely purpose made for those events or that type of terrain. For sure there are limitations to an all road. But like, as I was saying, like, a lot of times you'll find yourself, okay, this is not the bike for this terrain, but I can get through at least, and I'll get out the other side and then back on the road or wherever I'm going.
You mentioned this, your best-selling bike, the All-Road, your flagship bike.
Yeah.
Do you think the bike industry has embraced All-Road as a category generally? It's not the most kind of talked about tag. There's endurance, there's road race, and there's gravel. But All-Road doesn't seem to be the most widely talked about. Do you think that the industry is missing out on this segment, this sort of riding use case?
Yeah, I mean, what we, the term, the definition of an all-road bike, if you want to compare that to an endurance bike, I mean, it's pretty much, we're talking about the same thing, right? It's a bike with, more comfort, slightly relaxed geometry, bigger tire clearance. And then within that, somewhat another brand could call their bike an endurance road bike, and it would be more or less the same concept. So I don't feel like I don't think like we should be getting too hung up in all of these definitions, and certainly don't feel like it's necessary for us to split, segment this stuff down to the nth degree of segmentation. We believe in versatility, that a bike should cover, more than one use purpose. So that's kind of where our approach to it.
Okay. And with road bikes getting bigger and bigger tire clearance and gravel bikes being hugely popular, as you know, do you see all road sort of being squeezed on either side by you go for a road bike with wide tires or gravel bike with sort of a narrow tire or have two wheels? And do you think the all road category is sort of being squeezed from both sides, perhaps?
Yeah, I think, well, what we're seeing is obviously the road. I mean, if you take the race, like the pro race category, that's going its almost, its own direction, where bikes get lighter, stiffer. They seem to have landed around 30 millimeter up to 32 millimeter tire clearance seems to be what works for them. And, obviously aerodynamics and lightweight and all those things that they focus on. And so I don't see that as encroaching on the gravel, or sorry, the all road category by any means. Gravel is also, another category where it's like so many different definitions of, what some people think gravel is and other people think. Our latest gravel bike has 57 millimeter tire clearance, so it's not in any way comparable to to anything that would be on the road. So I still feel like there's a space in between, absolutely. But what we are seeing is that the performance of that category is definitely increasing. I mean, we can make lighter and lighter bikes in that category and still offer the suppleness and the tire clearance and the comfort and also the durability with lighter and lighter carbon layups. So I think what we're going to see is sort of more performance being injected into that category.
Interesting. And you mentioned your gravel bike, which has been recently updated, and I mean, tire sizes in the gravel market is, every brand has their own approach to how wide is wide enough, and yours is definitely at the sort of extreme end. Lots of people might look at a gravel bike as being the perfect one bike. You have the big chunky tires, you can put a sort of 38 mil slick on there for your all road. Do you see the gravel bike being a potential threat to the all road in the future in terms of having multiple wheels on a gravel bike and then just detuning it almost to all road? Or do you see there be enough difference between the way they ride to separate them still?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing now is the benefits of the bigger tires for the gravel segment is very, very clear, be it racing or adventure or just, comfort getting around, on whatever kind of gravel ride you want to do. So we also, one of what we believe when it comes to bike design is that the bike has an ideal tire dimension. And I would say that, the window of optimal use would be 10 to 12 millimeters. So our gravel bike, we would say 45 to 57. And I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that, oh yeah, you can put road tires on our gravel bike and it'll be great, because that's not true. It's not designed for that. But there's such a huge difference in this dimension of that tire from the height of the bike and everything. Sure, it fits, but it probably works, but it's certainly not ideal, and it's nothing that we would recommend even. So we actually have a minimum recommendation on our gravel bike of 45 millimeters.
Okay.
Just because it's designed specifically for that window between 45 and 57. So.
I get a lot of questions all the time from viewers about using a gravel bike as a road bike. I think one of my most popular videos is using a gravel bike as a road bike. Like I say, it can work. The tyres do fit, but like you say, the bike's not optimized for that tyre, so the geometry of handling is not going to be that good at all, is it?
Yeah, and bottom bracket height, with compared to pedal strikes, and that's a safety issue, right? So there's a definite safety concern there as well. Another thing I wanted to also say is that the tire brands or tire manufacturers are also, they also have a part in this, because they're stepping up the game in the in their bigger tire widths. You see Pirelli, for example, coming with the Velo or the P0 race tires that in like 40s and even bigger. So that's really exciting to see what's going on there. So that was sort of back to what I was mentioning about injecting some of the performance into this endurance / all road category. So I think we're going to see some pretty exciting stuff in that the 40 to 45 category, where with slick tires and fast tires. So it's pretty exciting to see what's going to happen there.
That must be a big challenge. I mean, you're designing the bike and you're relying on the tire brands to sort of keep up with where you are going, and that's probably been a frustration point for the last few years of tire brands not really delivering a tire that I mean, you probably have in your head the ideal tire for that all-road bike to just give the amazing performance, but maybe not existed until now.
Yeah, and we're a small top player, right? So obviously we're not impacting so much with the decisions that they make. But one of the points I think is pretty interesting is around this, the bigger size tires, and there's this divide between what they categorize as a gravel tire and a mountain bike tire, and it's going to be interesting to see how the tire suppliers react to that, because we know that those mountain bike tires are going to be more and more popular used in the gravel, particularly in gravel racing, and it'll go from there. It'll spread out. So how are they going to continue to categorize gravel versus race tires, or mountain bike tires? Be interesting to see.
I had this conversation with somebody else. I think we had a similar conversation around, you got a gravel tire and you got a mountain bike tire, and it's sort of, they meet, but there's an overlap now, isn't there? And it's almost like you need to merge the two or redefine them, not call it a gravel tire, not a mountain bike tire, just call it an off-road tire,
right,
that can be used on a mountain bike or a gravel bike, and get rid of that distinction between the two. It seemed kind of crazy at the moment that we have that sort of separation.
Oh, you should get a tire guy on here to talk about this a bit more than me. But my understanding is that the gravel tires have evolved from road tires, and they are primarily built around the 40 to 45 millimeter dimension, so that the casing and all the construction of the tire, where you have other concerns like protection, obviously, is a big one. Snake bites, even on a tubeless tire. Whereas the mountain bike tires they've evolved, they've lived their whole life as in a different space, and they've sort of evolved their own as a completely different product. So the development is actually coming from two different places, and simply the mountain bike tires just have, they've got 20 years of development, 20 years plus of development, and they're just way further ahead. So that's part of the reason why, I know we're sort of off topic when it comes to all road, but that's part of the reason why, we see that the mountain bike tires are just so much faster on gravel bikes.
Yeah. I mean, your new gravel bike takes up to 57, which is definitely at the limits, like the Allied and the Argon 18. But there are new gravel bikes on the market now which have a sort of max tire clearance of 42, which giving away your bikes going in the tire train going mountain bike tires, that 42 clearance on a gravel bike, is it a gravel bike anymore, or is that an all-road bike now? It must make you sort of
Yeah.
chuckle at some brands with the what they call a gravel bike.
Yeah, I mean, the again, it's gravel is a term that has different meanings for different people. So, our bike is a product of our development process that comes through innovation and working together with high level athletes, and that's getting feedback from that space. And as a small brand, we also have a much quicker turnaround time when it comes to product development cycles and getting things to market. So we're able to innovate quicker, basically. And yeah, I'm not here to talk about how other people do stuff. We certainly, the 40 to 42 millimeter space when it comes to tires is something we would consider more of an all road type product.
Where does this leave your road bike? I mean, you mentioned about race bikes are getting like aero and lightweight and stiff, and you have a road bike in your range. Does the general popularity of, people running 32 mil tires on road bikes and going wider, 35, you mentioned the Pirellis, which are 40, they're real, and in the UK, the roads are pretty bad. So wide tires are very popular. Do you see like the all-road becoming even bigger in the future as just people lean towards bigger tires and they embrace the benefits of wide tires and leaves road bikes behind and just for the sort of F1 focused pro peloton?
Yeah, I think, there's been 1,000 people that have come on podcasts and said that, what people should be riding. And I've said the same thing myself, although, maybe we shouldn't be telling anybody what they should be riding. They should be riding whatever they want. But for sure, if you're not racing, the benefits of a stiff road bike, pro level road bike, which you can buy, you can go to the store and buy the same bike that they're racing in the pro peloton. But the benefits for that for most people it's not really, what they're going to get the most enjoyment out of, let's put it that way. And so, as a brand, again, I can only speak for myself and for our brand, as a brand that is focused on adventure cycling, we don't really see the need for that type of a bike in our range. And and we feel like there's again, all road or endurance, whatever you want to call it, this space where you can still put a fast tire that will and build a bike that will work in multiple different terrain and surfaces. To me, that's just offering so much benefit for so many people that I think is a really interesting and attractive product. And so that's where that's where we would focus our attention.
Okay, where do you see the future of all road for yourself personally as a brand, and also for the wider industry?
Yeah, I think as I was mentioning, like this, what we will see is this sort of injection of performance into the category, where if the pro race bikes kind of go their own direction, but people still want to go fast and they want bikes that look great. So, and why would you not have aerodynamics in your bike when there's not really a lot of downsides to it, as long as you can continue to tune the ride feeling and the comfort and all those things. So I think what we'll see is sort of lighter, more responsive, more aerodynamic frames in that category. And then we'll also see that, or we're already seeing that, like tire providers are already delivering like higher performance products in that category. So it's like, as it's not only, you have to remember like the bike is what we've kind of been discussing, like different aspects of the bike, right? It's not only us, it's like, it's also what, all the different component manufacturers are also providing and developing. And if we as an industry, sort of collectively develop all these products that just give people more enjoyment and more fun in that category, then obviously the category is going to do well, and it'll be more and more interesting for people.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's a good point to end on. Thanks for sharing insight into all road and your range of bikes and where you see the future of this. Or I think it's very interesting to see where bikes are going, tire trends, and that more of an appetite for wide tires. I think some people, I think, wrongly assume that an all road bike with big tires is going to be slow and sluggish, but not the case, is it?
No. Yeah, and it's just more capable. That's what it comes down to, and it can do more things. And and I think we're a little bit like sort of selfish at Fara, because we're pretty much just developing the bikes that we want to ride ourselves. And this is what we love to do, is like bike packing, and we ride far and fast, and like big days, and riding, keeping a relatively high average speed, and on bikes that are fun to ride and responsive, and that's what we like to do, and we believe that there's a market for it as well. So we'll just keep on doing that.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for your time today. Pleasure to chat to you.